What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Endless TBR. My name is Christian, and this is my YouTube channel where I love to talk about books. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to click on this video where I want to outline all of the goals that I am setting up for myself in 2026. Now, 2025 was a really good year for me. Probably the best year that I've had in my entire life when it comes to reading. I absolutely knocked my goals out of the water, but I only set up two goals for myself. It was to read at least 40 books and to finish Star Wars The High Republic, both of which I did accomplish, even though I was cutting the High Republic one a little bit close. It came down to the last few weeks of December here, but I did accomplish it. So moving forward to 2026, I wanted to set even more goals for myself, ones that were, a little more expansive, spread out across different things that I wanted to do, things that I could track and hold myself accountable for, especially now that I have this channel, so I can look back and see if I did meet even more of my goals that I set up for myself. So I have come up with 8 different goals that I would like to accomplish in 2026. So the first of these goals is how many books I would like to read in the year 2026. Now, in 2025 so far, like I said, my goal was 40 books. As of today, December 22nd, I have read 92 physical books and 11 audiobooks, making my sum 103 books that I have either read or listened to throughout the year of 2025. So, like I said, I more than doubled, absolutely blew out of the water my goal for 2025. And I'm hoping I can even finish a couple more. There's still 9 days left in 2025. I'm hoping to get that number up to 105 books completed. So, when I was looking forward to 2026, I was like, okay, I can either start at like 105 and keep trying to up the ante a little bit, or I can pull back a little bit and give myself some wiggle room. I did decide to go with the second of those two options, and so I want to try to read 80 books in 2026, doubling my number from 2025. The main reason I chose that option was I looked forward to some of the books that I want to read in 2026, and there are some big ones on here. So, to name a few, we have Shogun by James Clavell. This is only part one, but I want to read part two as well. So, that's like a good 1,200 pages or so. I want to read The Stand by Stephen King. That's another like 1,200 pages or so. I want to read this book that I just bought. It is the classic H.P. Lovecraft collection. This is over 900 pages of H.P. Lovecraft. And then also, I do not own it, but I would like to read King's Sorrow by Joe Hill. And I know that one is like over 800 pages as well. So there are some big books on there, significantly larger than any book I read in 2025. So I decided to go with 80 books total. I think it's a good jump up from the previous year, but I'm also giving myself a little bit of wiggle room there. I feel confident I can surpass 80, but I just didn't want to I didn't want to start off on a bad note, being like, yeah, I can do over 100. And I quickly realized, oh, I don't think I can do over 100. So that is goal number one, is to read 80 books in 2026. Goal number two is to read at least 25 horror novels that are not Stephen King. So the reason why I'm doing this goal is when people ask me what my favorite genre is, I always say horror. Now, when I look at the books in that genre that I've read and I look at my bookshelf with all my horror novels on it, I realize a good portion of it is Stephen King. And I don't, no hate on that. I love Stephen King. He's my favorite author of all time, but I feel woefully underread in the genre that I tell people is my favorite genre. And so I say, you know what? Going into this year, I think this is going to be the year where I expand into the genre and read some different authors and different pieces and stuff like that. So I wrote down a few names just off the top of my head of people that I'd really like to read at least one book by in 2026. So we have Dean Koontz, Edgar Allan Poe, H.P. Lovecraft, who I've already read some of his stuff, but I want to read even more of it. Clive Barker, Shirley Jackson, Grady Hendrix, and Stephen Graham Jones. So those are just off the top of my head. If I go into my Goodreads want to read list, there's way more that fit into the genre, but those are just some people that popped off the top of my head. And I'm hoping to read at least 25 non-Stephen King horror books to broaden my horizons within that genre, and then feel a little more confident when I'm like, yeah, that's my favorite genre. So that is goal number two. Goal number three, speaking of Stephen King, so one of my overall goals in life when it comes to reading is to read all of Stephen King's books. I think that is a goal that's going to take me well past 2026, probably at least like 3, 4, 5 years into the future. In 2025, I read, I think, 8 or 9 Stephen King books. And so I decided to up that a little bit and make it 12 Stephen King books that I would like to read in 2026. That is one per month. I don't know if I'm going to do one per month. I might do like one month where I read 2 or 3 of his books and then take a break. We'll see how it goes. But 12 Stephen King books, so upping it a little bit from 2025 and working my way just a little bit more towards that goal of reading all of his books. And he is my favorite author, so it would make sense that I want to read a lot of his books. So that is goal number 3. It's coming in at goal number 4. This is where it gets more into specific series and authors that I would like to read. Goal number 4 is I want to read all of Mistborn Era 2 by Brandon Sanderson. So in 2025, some of my favorite books that I read was the Mistborn Era 1 trilogy, The Final Empire, The Well of Ascension, and The Hero of Ages. I read all 3 of those books in 2025. I had so much fun reading them. They were some of my favorite books of the year. And so moving into 2026, I wanted to read Mistborn Era 2. I do not know really anything about it at all, except that there's a significant time jump in that they use guns now, which is really cool. That sounds awesome. But those books are The Alloy of Law, Shadows of Self, The Bands of Mourning, and the Lost Metal. Yeah, I thought I said the Last Metal. It's the Lost Metal. So those are the 4 books from that series that I hope to finish in 2026. So that is goal number 4. Goal number 5 is to reread some of and read for the first time the Robert Langdon series by Dan Brown. So a few weeks ago, I posted a video that was 8 books that I want to reread in 2026. 2 of those books were Angels and Demons and The Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown. These are 2 books that I read back in like high school, and I have such fond memories of these books. And I just never really got around to reading the other ones. I did read The Lost Symbol, which is book 3, but I don't remember it nearly as well as these other 2. And then I own Inferno on my Kindle, and I own the physical copy of Origin, but I just never read them. And with Secret of Secrets coming out this year, it kind of put the series back on my radar. I know that Dan Brown doesn't seem as loved nowadays as he was back when these 2 books came out, but nonetheless, I have fond memories of them, and so I've decided in 2026 I'm not just going to read these books, but I'm going to go and try to read all 6 of the books in that series. So that is goal number 5. Yeah, goal number 5. Goal number 6 is to finally start and hopefully finish the Red Rising series by Pierce Brown. This is a series that I know is really, really popular. I actually don't know too much about it at all. I just know that a couple of my really good friends who don't really read much recommended this book to me, and so I decided to pick it up, and that was like a year ago, and this has been sitting on my shelf ever since. I keep looking at it, but I keep saying like, oh, I don't want to start a new series right now. So I have decided that 2026 is the year I'm finally going to start this one, and hopefully I enjoy it enough to read all the other 4 books in this series. I follow r/bookshelves on Reddit, and I know like every other picture of people's bookshelves have like the Red Rising series on it. I know it's super popular and super well loved, so I think it's about time that I get into it, and hopefully I love it just as much as everybody else does. So that is goal number 6. Goal number 7 is to finish reading Joe Hill's bibliography. So in 2025, I read 20th Century Ghosts and Horns. And then Nosferatu was one of the books that was on my December TBR. That's one of the books I'm hoping to still finish in the last few days of December here. So assuming that I do finish Nosferatu, I have 4 books here that I own by Joe Hill, as well as King Sorrow, which came out just a couple months ago that I do not own a physical copy of. But those books are Strange Weather, and then Heart Shaped Box, and Full Throttle, and last but not least, The Fireman, which is another one of those chunky books I could add to my other list. This one is well over 700 pages. So just another reason why I should shoot for that 80 instead of 100 books. But yeah, so I want to finish these 4 books. Luckily, my fiance loves Joe Hill, so I already own all of his books, and I just got to go out and buy King Sorrow and read those. But that is another series or author that I would like to finish in 2026. So that's Joe Hill. And then finally, goal number 8. This is the big one when it comes to series. If you follow my channel, you'll know I love the Dune books. And so in 2026, I would like to finish all of the Dune books that I have not read. That includes the 2 Frank Herbert books I have not read, Heretics of Dune and Chapter House Dune, as well as the 12 books by Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson that I have not read as well. To name a few, the House trilogy, so House Atreides, Harkonnen, and Corrino, as well as the Caladan trilogy, which is, I think, like Heir of Caladan, Duke of Caladan, and Princess of Caladan, or something like that, We have books 7 and 8, which are Sandworms of Dune and Hunters of Dune. And then there's a couple other standalones in there, which is like Hall of Dune, which I have a copy of right there. And I think there's one called Winds of Dune as well. I'm probably missing one or two, but that's most of them that I can think of. So I want to read all of the Dune books and finish them out in 2026. Like I said, this is like my High Republic from 2025. In 2025, I wanted to finish the High Republic. It was like well over 10 books. In 2026, it is going to be these Dune books. I want to try to knock them all out and put a bookend on the Dune trilogy. So those are my 8 goals for reading in 2026. I have a lot that I want to read, obviously. I thought it was really funny before I started this. I was like, let me add up all the books in these series that I outlined, as well as the 25 non-Stephen King horror books, and see how many that is. That is 71 books right there between the Dune books, Joe Hill, Red Rising, Dan Brown, Mistborn, and the 25 non-Stephen King books, as well as the 12 Stephen King books. That's 71 books. So, like I said, I think I'm going to be able to read more than 80, but I thought it was funny. I was like, I want to read 80 books. These are the series I want to read, and it's already like almost all of it. So hopefully I'll get beyond 80 books so I can add a little more variety in there. Like I said, I know I'm setting myself up with a lot of big goals. I'm confident I can do them, but also if I find that, you know what, I don't want to read a 14th Dune book this year, I'll branch out and read some other stuff. But this is stuff that I would like to finish in this year. So that is my TBR for, not my TBR for 2026, my reading goals for 2026. Let me know down in the comments below if you've read any of these books, what you think of some of these series. And as always, thank you so much for watching. My name is Christian. I will catch you in the next video. Peace out.